Stephen Hickson last updated 0500 October 25, 2017. Incoming Deputy Prime Minister Winston Peters said that capitalism must regain its human face. Opinion. According to the incoming Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern and incoming Deputy Prime Minister Winston Peters, capitalism has failed. In broad terms, capitalism is a system of allocating resources based on markets. Markets are simply the outcome of people going about their lives and choosing for themselves what goods and services they wish to purchase, what job they want to take, what business they might wish to set up, and a host of other decisions they make every day. As buyers and sellers interact, market prices emerge, and it's those market prices that serve to allocate resources to the production of the goods and services that people want the most, and hence to generate incomes. And yes, the profit motive drives entrepreneurs to deliver those goods and services to consumers. In a socialist system, it is the state that decides where resources will be allocated and what goods and services will be produced. In strongly socialist economies, the state may also decide where you can work and where you can live. Read more. Winston Peters wants today's capitalism to regain its human face. Winston Peters' view on capitalism will challenge new government. The ninth floor. Jim Bolger says neoliberalism has failed and said of course many economies, including New Zealand's, are a mix of the two to a greater or lesser extent. Most goods and services in New Zealand are aptly provided by markets, for example your groceries and clothing, but some are provided by the state, for example health and education. In education, the state not only provides most of the services, it also determines which school your child has a right to attend and which schools they do not. The state also plays a significant role in some markets such as housing, where zoning and land use restrictions apply. So as a mixed economy, it is not correct to simply say that capitalism has failed when there are outcomes we do not like. If there are health outcomes we dislike, for example, then it is more likely a failure of government, since health services are largely not provided by the market. Has capitalism failed as Jacinda and Winston suggest, as evidenced by homelessness, poverty and inequality? Firstly, housing. Housing is not a market failure. If we poke a dog with a stick, we should not be surprised when it bites. If we put a restriction on where and how homes can be built so that we don't build enough of them, then we should not be surprised when prices rise. That's markets doing exactly what markets do. If we don't want the dog to bite, then we need to stop poking it. Secondly, income distribution. Markets in a capitalist economy are there to allocate resources to their most highly valued use, and in that they do a superb job. No other economic system has generated as much progress and prosperity as a market-based economy. Markets and capitalism have delivered fully stocked supermarkets with amazing variety, affordable cell phones, blockbuster movies and inexpensive clothing, to name but a few of the things that we take for granted every day. However, markets will allocate the income that is generated according to supply and demand, and not necessarily in a way that some would consider fair. Those with rare or highly in-demand skills will make very high incomes, while many others will make a great deal less. Sadly, we cannot all be the captain of the All Blacks or Peter Jackson, but we are not stuck with the market distribution of income, and we can change it. We do this by taxing higher income earners more and paying income support to lower income earners. We might also provide some free or subsidized services based on income. What is considered fair will vary from person to person. According to Treasury, the top 11% of income earners pay 48% of the total income taxes, while the bottom 49% pay 9% of total income taxes, and that is before we account for welfare payments, meaning many New Zealanders receive more from government than they pay, which is of course exactly what we set out to achieve. Some New Zealanders will believe that the current amount of redistribution is about right, some that it is too much, and still others that it is not enough. Our notion of fairness is not a market-based notion, it is a ballot box one. We collectively choose via our vote the amount of income redistribution that will take place. Capitalism has not failed. In fact, it is the opposite. Capitalism and markets have delivered unprecedented increases in living standards and quality of life across a whole range of aspects that we care about that no other system can match. What Ardern and Peters really mean is that capitalism has not delivered a distribution of the benefits of markets that they like, and they intend to change it. That is a different but reasonable stance to take, although we must recognize that we will not all agree on how much the initial distribution of income and resources should be changed by. We must not throw out the baby with the bathwater. For 200 years, market-based economies have outperformed all other systems by such a margin that if it were a game of baseball, then the mercy rule would have been invoked. Governments cannot create wealth, they can only redistribute what others earn, rather than interfere with markets. What the new government should do is allow markets to do what they do best, and then explicitly reallocate income via taxes and welfare, which includes schemes such as working for families, interfering with market prices and the efficient functioning of markets creates winners and losers, but usually more losers than winners. Such policies might or might not make us more equal, but they are almost certain to make us collectively poorer. Making New Zealand poorer will then not be a failure of capitalism, but a failure of government. Stephen Hickson teaches economics at the University of Canterbury. Stuff.